I never thought I'd be writing this story at 34, but life has a way of throwing unexpected curves. My wife and I seem to have it all. We've been together for nearly a decade, married for 6 of those years. We had 2 cars, steady jobs, and even managed to buy our dream house 4 years ago. Everything felt perfect, or at least that's what I believed. Last April, my dad passed away suddenly from a stroke. It hit both of us hard. He wasn't just my father, he was like a second dad to my wife too. The months that followed were rough. We basically became home buddies, spending most evenings on the couch watching shows and movies. Looking back, maybe I should have tried harder to get us out more, but grief has its own timeline. Things started changing about 2 months ago. My wife went out with some work friends one evening, 3 guys from her office who I knew pretty well. They were having drinks at a local bar just minutes from our house. I didn't think much of it and went to bed early. Around 3:30 a.m., she came home with them, announcing they were heading downtown. I felt uneasy about it, but didn't want to be controlling. The bars close at 4, but she didn't get home until 5:30. That's when the first doubts crept in. A week later, she said she was going to a festival with her mom. She left while I was in the shower, didn't even say goodbye. When she came home that evening, she was crying. My first instinct was to comfort her, ask what was wrong. Instead of answering, she just said, "I want a divorce." We talked that night, both emotional. I asked directly if she'd been unfaithful. She denied it. She claimed she'd been unhappy for a long time, though she never once mentioned any problems with our marriage. After our conversation, she packed some things and moved to her mom's house. For days later, when we met to discuss arrangements for our dog, I pressed her again about infidelity. This time, she confessed. She'd been seeing someone during that entire week between the night out and when she left. When I asked what made this guy so special, all she could say was that they had a connection. She started talking about having a quarter-life crisis, saying she didn't know what she wanted anymore. Within days, she dyed her hair bright red and signed up for motorcycle lessons. It was like watching a stranger inhabit my wife's body. Every serious message I sent her got ignored, while casual ones got short, almost hostile responses. She treated me like I was nothing to her, like our years together meant nothing. I keep wondering if this is some kind of defense mechanism, her way of pushing away the guilt, or if she's truly changed this dramatically in such a short time. I know new relationships can be exciting, but what happens when that initial thrill wears off? The emotions I'm dealing with are all over the place. I'm angry about the betrayal, deeply disappointed, but I also remember how solid our foundation was before all this. We're now 6 weeks past her leaving, and neither of us has filed for divorce yet. I know she's still seeing him, and I'm torn between trying to save our marriage and just ending it. I don't want to rush into divorce and regret it later, but this limbo is killing me. The first few days after she left, before I knew about the affair for sure, were absolute torture. I blamed myself, wondering what I'd done wrong. But once she admitted to cheating, those feelings started fading. Maybe I wasn't perfect, but I didn't deserve this. She never once told me she was unhappy, never gave our marriage a chance to be fixed. She just jumped straight into someone else's arms. Yesterday, I contacted a divorce mediator. In our state, mediators handle everything: legal stuff, finances, emotional support. It's an all-in-one service to help couples split up. Today, we had our first meeting. My wife's car broke down, so I had to pick her up. I didn't want to, but for this mediation to work, we both needed to be there. The meeting went as expected. We both said we wanted a divorce, but I never mentioned her cheating. The mediator stays neutral, and honestly, it wouldn't make a difference legally anyway. After he left, we sat at the table in awkward silence, just our cats running around for distraction. "Anything else you want to say?" I finally asked. "No," she replied. "Then you should leave. I don't want you here. Can you drive me home?" "No." "That's your problem to figure out." She looked surprised, maybe even hurt. I guess she expected me to help her like I always used to. She called her mom for a ride and went for a walk until her mom could pick her up. As she left, she seemed emotional, but I stayed firm. Even though I noticed she's still acting strange, probably because of her new relationship, I'm done being her backup plan. Here's where things get complicated. I worked at a shipping company, let's call it Express Freight, for 11 years. 4 months ago, I switched to a different company. My wife still works in the office at Express Freight, and her new guy works in their warehouse. After working there so long, I know everyone, and they all liked me, especially Ryder, a gay guy who sits next to my wife at work. He was actually there the night everything started, though he left early. My wife's on vacation now, back to work next Monday. I've been thinking about telling Ryder everything. Not just because he should know what kind of person he's working with, but also because he was there that night. Part of me wants everyone at her work to know what she did, how she betrayed me. Maybe it's revenge, but after what she put me through, I feel like I get to decide who knows the truth. The way she's treating people now is bizarre. She's awful to everyone except her new guy and her parents. My sister sent her a heartfelt message, no response. Before all this, she used to take my aunt, who's been like a second mom to me since Dad died, to the local theme park regularly. They both had season passes. Now she won't even answer my aunt's texts. The worst is what she did to Jade, her best friend. They were supposed to spend a day together. Jade took the day off work, planned this whole shopping trip. My wife didn't show up, didn't answer calls, didn't even read Jade's messages, even though her online status showed she was active. Jade spent the whole day crying on her couch. What makes this even worse is that Jade lived with us for 6 months last year after getting out of a bad relationship. She and my wife told each other everything, including stuff about our marriage. When I asked Jade if there was any truth to my wife's claims about being unhappy for years, Jade was adamant. My wife never once mentioned being unhappy with me. Either my wife is lying now to justify what she did, or she kept these feelings secret from literally everyone, including her best friend. She's going around telling people we grew apart and wanted different things. Yesterday, one of our mutual friends showed me texts where my wife claimed we just didn't work anymore. I made sure to correct that story, told her friend the truth about the cheating and how she left me for another guy. Everyone who hears what really happened is shocked. Nobody, including me, ever thought she was capable of this. After talking with her a few more times, she finally admitted something interesting. She says she still loved me, but it wasn't fun anymore. Well, of course it wasn't fun. My dad had just died. She claims she wasn't unhappy with me specifically, but with life in general. Basically, she cheated, caught feelings for this other guy, and ran away from our marriage instead of working on it. Once I realized she was living her life without me, I started doing the same. I joined a gym, something I'd never done before. I'm on the slim side, so I started weight training 3 times a week. Sure, my muscles hurt, but I'm already seeing changes. I've also reconnected with Sarah, a childhood friend. It's purely friendship, but having someone to talk to who lost a parent last year helps. She gets what I'm going through. The divorce is moving forward. We gathered all the paperwork and sent it to the mediator. At first, I hoped maybe she'd come back, but now I've made my decision. Even if she tries to reconcile, I'm going through with a divorce. Our marriage is over. What's interesting is how karma seems to be working. Her new guy isn't turning out to be the dream she thought. He's struggling with depression and lost his job recently. I know this because our mutual friend showed me screenshots of their conversations. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but I always knew I was the better catch. What's worse is he's introduced her to some dangerous stuff, hard drugs, according to friends. She's basically ruining her life, but that's her choice now. During the holidays, I hadn't heard from her at all. Then, about a week into January, she texted asking if she could come over. She stayed for maybe 5 minutes, just to tell me she spent Christmas Day alone crying. She wanted to know how my holidays were. I told her they were okay, considering it was my first Christmas without Dad. I also mentioned I was doing well, which is true. Looking back, I think she might be having regrets. Her mom called me after New Year's, which surprised me. She said my wife hasn't been doing well, crying a lot and saying things like, "I wish it didn't have to be this way." Maybe she is having second thoughts, but only she can make that move. All I can do is follow through with a divorce she asked for and keep working on myself. In 4 days, we're signing the divorce papers. The house is worth about $300,000, and I have to pay her $65,000 for her share. It's a lot of money, but keeping the house is worth it in the long run. She's officially living with her mom again, though I know she spends most nights at her new guy's place. I'm not happy about paying her that much, but owning a house worth 5 times that amount is better than starting over with nothing. It's been 5 months since everything fell apart, and honestly, I barely think about the cheating anymore. Sure, I made mistakes at first, begging, pleading, getting angry. For about 2 months, I was a mess. Then I decided to stop. I told her I'd be open to talking, but couldn't guarantee anything. I haven't contacted her about anything except divorce stuff for the last 3 months. Looking back, the gym really saved me. Not just physically, I look better than I ever have, but mentally too. I started working out just to stay busy, but now I actually enjoy it. My confidence is higher than it's ever been. Sometimes my mind still wanders to what could have been, but those moments are getting rarer. I hate seeing what she's become, but I know it's not my problem anymore. Time really does heal, and focusing on yourself actually works. I'm proof of that. For anyone going through something similar, hang in there. 5 months ago, I thought my life was over. Now I'm stronger, healthier, and actually excited about my future. Yes, I still have moments where I miss what we had, but I don't miss who she is now. Sometimes the best thing you can do is let go and focus on building a better life for yourself. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.